Every time Kanye West apologizes, his career gets smaller. Every time he doubles down, it explodes. That isn't a personality flaw, it's an incentive structure. A public reputation is supposed to function as a safety net. In the traditional model of fame, you spend years building up a bank of trust so that when you eventually stumble, the net catches you. The apology, the strategic pivot, and the walk back are the tools used to return to the center when things go wrong. These are the fundamental mechanisms of stability. But inside the attention systems of the last decade, this model has inverted. For a specific class of public figures, stability is no longer the goal, it is the threat. The contradiction is this. We see a figure like Kanye West repeatedly torching his bridges, alienating his closest collaborators, and dismantling billion-dollar partnerships. From the outside, we assume we are watching a malfunction. We wait for the moment of clarity, the retreat, the return to the old Kanye that everyone used to love. But that retreat never comes. The uncomfortable implication is that the walkback has been priced out of his business model. The apology isn't a bridge back to safety, it is a cage that signals the end of his relevance. In a market that rewards the absolute, the middle ground is a graveyard, so the pattern isn't random, it's an optimization. When provocation sets the terms of relevance, what does a public figure become? The obvious explanation for the trajectory of Kanye West is personal pathology. We look at the erratic headlines and the increasingly extreme rhetoric and reach for a moral label. We treat the outcome as a series of individual failures, a lapse in character, or basic maturity. But that explanation treats the outcome as an accident. It assumes that if he were simply healthier or better advised, he would act like a standard celebrity. What if it's the opposite? What if his behavior is the most high-fidelity response to the incentives of modern fame that we have ever seen? Explaining the incentive structure behind this behavior does not excuse the harm it causes, but it does explain why the system continues to reward it. We have to ask, why has reversal become more expensive than escalation? To answer that, we have to look at the machinery that turns a creative genius into a structural hostage. The logic of a system where walking back even a single inch results in a total loss of power. To understand why this path feels so inevitable, we must identify the loop he is caught in. We can call it the antagonism ratchet. A ratchet is a tool that allows movement only in one direction while preventing any reversal. In the context of Kanye West, this ratchet is powered by two interacting forces: algorithmic signal strength and identity branding. In the early days of his career, Kanye's reach was gated by traditional media. If he said something controversial, it was filtered through publicists who muffled the noise. But as he migrated to social platforms, those gatekeepers disappeared. He discovered that stability produces a weak signal, while friction produces a global one. The algorithm does not measure the quality of the emotion. It measures the magnitude of the engagement. The system trains the figure to seek the highest possible friction at all times. Yesterday's controversy becomes the new baseline. To get the same signal today, the friction has to be exponentially higher. Kanye's brand is the truth teller who doesn't care what you think. This is his competitive advantage. Most celebrities are perceived as manufactured. Kanye is perceived as raw. This brand narrows his behavioral options. If he apologizes, he is no longer uncompromising. He becomes just another celebrity managed by a PR firm. Once these forces combine, escalation becomes the only safe move for his career. It is a form of lock-in. The moment he moves back toward the inside by retracting a statement, he destroys his own value proposition. He loses the outsider signal that drives his engagement, but he is already too radioactive to ever truly be welcomed back to the center. To exit this loop, he would have to accept a massive drop in reach and the total collapse of his identity. For a person whose life is built on being the only one, that price is too high. The ratchet clicks forward. Reversal is priced out. In the logic of the antagonism ratchet, maintenance is punished, escalation is rewarded. In the middle of his career, Kanye could still oscillate. He could jump on stage at the VMAs, then go on a talk show and look sheepish. He could be the villain and the hero in the same month because the ratchet had not yet fully locked. But as the ratchet turned, habituation set in. The audience adjusted to his baseline. The interruption became the expectation. This habituation forces stronger signals. If you have already claimed to be a god, where do you go next? You find the one thing you aren't supposed to say, and you say it.
Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
Here, you are fighting against the natural decay of attention. This reveals a massive risk asymmetry. The upside of escalation is immediate. Within minutes, you are the #1 topic on every platform. The costs of that behavior, the loss of brand deals and erosion of legacy, happen in boardrooms months later. Delayed costs feel like something you can deal with later, while immediate metrics feel like safety. By the time Kanye reached the 2020s, his options had shrunk to a razor-thin path. He had burned the mainstream fashion and prestige artist paths, leaving only the provocateur. Reversal at this stage triggers catastrophic penalties. An apologetic version of Kanye becomes boring. The system has converted his choices into path dependency. He isn't choosing to be more extreme, he is being priced out of being moderate. Every time he doubles down, he is paying the rent to keep his audience's attention. When we zoom out, we can see that this is an incentive structure rather than a biography. We focus on Kanye West because he is the most visible example, but he is merely the most high-performing operator within the system. Attention rewards antagonism because antagonism creates high-yield data. It creates the comments and shares that keep platforms alive. In this environment, trust has mutated. It is no longer about believing a person is good. It's about expecting a person to be consistent in their volatility. Trust has mutated into a distribution advantage. His audience trusts him to be volatile. If he became reasonable or quiet, he would become unseen to the very systems that sustain his power. The behavior persists not because it is healthy, but because it is profitable. The self-destruction we see from the outside is, from the inside, a desperate attempt to maintain a position in a market that has no room for the middle. We have built a cultural reward structure that values spectacle more than the human being, and then we wonder why the people inside keep setting matches alight. When the price of being heard is the destruction of your own safety net, the ratchet only turns in one direction. We are left watching the fire and not realizing that we are providing the gasoline. In the end, the most unsettling thing about this pattern is not that it is happening to him, it is that it works on us.